Thank you everyone and welcome to Nourish Perth, the Flavour of Nature. We are absolutely thrilled to have such an immense crowd here. We came here a few months ago and we saw this venue and we thought we were a little bit ambitious picking such a massive venue. To see it packed out is really overwhelming, and we could not have thanked every one of you enough for really showing up and helping us celebrate not only the flavour of nature but also community. Like I said, tonight tonight is about connecting the dots between not only what happens beneath our feet in the soil, but what actually ends up happening on our plates. Connecting farmers and scientists with food lovers around the world, soil health advocates, human health advocates, and connecting us all to bring towards a more regenerative, resilient future. We're fortunate enough to be joined here today by our current West Australians of the Year, Ian and Di Haggerty. Ian and Di Haggerty are the pioneers of natural intelligence farming and are renowned around the world for their work in furthering regenerative farming. Ian and Di have transformed over 26,000 hectares of farmland and have inspired farmers around the world with doing multiple talks around the world. Tonight you're also going to hear from leading voices such as soil ecologist Dr. Jill Clapperton, journalist and food critic Max Veenhuyzen, and even get to taste the story through some incredible food, canapés, and a lot of more substantial foods concluding the talks. And as well as an unreal regenerative beer made from the talented Little Creatures Brewery, which is brewed right here at the Camfield. To kick our evening and our conversation off and our celebration of the flavour of nature, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the stage someone who needs no introduction. He's a chef, author, regenerative farmer, host of SBS's The Good Gourmet Farmer, and just an all-round absolute legend, Matthew Evans.
Thank you. I'm not sure which mic to use. I'll use that one for the moment. Thank you so much. Now we're going to do a little bit of a panel discussion, and I know it's going to be hard, but if you can just try and keep the conversation to a minimum, because we've got some amazing people to come up and talk, have a chat with you. So I guess the first thing that I wanted to do was ask Di. I got this phone call out of the blue. I don't know if anyone ever deals with Ian and Di, but it's a very, always talking to them when they're driving somewhere. I don't know if there's no reception on the farm or they're just too busy, but it's usually, or maybe that's when the little brain farts happen and they have these early have ideas. But Di rings me out of the blue and goes, "Oh, we got this idea for this event in Perth. Do you want to be involved?" And so I want to ask, I guess, Di, why do an event like this? Where did that inspiration come from?
There's been a bit of a growth over a long period of time, but after taking out the West Australian of the Year, there was a lot of support from the community, a lot of people just saying they didn't really understand that direct relationship as clearly, and that there was farmers doing this kind of stuff. Once again, a lot more people saying, well, we really need to know more about this. We really need to be discussing it as a community and how we can really influence our health from the ground up. So yeah, that crazy idea, and we thought, oh, well, Matthew Evans is actually going to be in Perth. We might grab him while he's here, and Jill was coming across, and Jill and I had been having discussions along this line for a bit because Jill visited a year before, and we thought, well, what the heck, why not?
So one of the things I love about events like this is there's this idea that I go to lots of food events. I'm a chef by trade, but I do some writing and all sorts of stuff, and there's lots of things you go to where they talk about food and they don't serve much. And so there's this idea that talking about food is like dancing about architecture. It's like not really relevant. So I want to explore this idea of, okay, so we're here and we're getting to enjoy some things that have come from the Haggerty's farm. But what I guess I want to go to now is, what do you do, Ian, on the farm? And what makes it different, and why do you do it?
Thanks, Matthew. Thank you, everyone, once again for coming. I'm a farmer, and I think we lose track of what that definition of a farmer is, you know, and what we are truly are. We're actually food producers. We're food producers and we're custodians of the environment, you know, along with our First Nations people. And we play a big part in everyone's daily life, you know, from when they first get out of bed in the morning, you know, they need a farmer because they take the first breath of fresh air if they're still going to be upright and going, and to the food they eat all day. That puts, as a farmer, a big responsibility in our hands, and it's too much there's too much negativity around what's going on, and the sheer fact is a lot of our food sources are classed as a commodity these days. A commodity, the same as iron ore. So it gets traded like a commodity and it gets treated like a commodity, and then our environment has an extractive lens put on it to actually supply that commodity. Well, that's not the way it should be. That's not the way nature intended it to be. So my goal as a farmer is to actually bring the true essence of a healthy living ecosystem, a healthy soil, to the food, to our population. I think, as I explained before, one single grain of wheat grown properly in a healthy living soil can hold up to 9 billion microbes in and on 1 grain of wheat. So you can imagine that's microbiome as well. So the buzz factor's microbiome, our gut, how things work. Just so happens, and this is nature, it's not just a miracle, it's how it was meant to be. The microbiome in the soil is very similar to the microbiome in our gut. We've gone ahead through a lot of ultra-processed foods and everything we do in daily life, and we've actually milked that microbiome down, and that's the result of a lot of starting up of a lot of health, allergy, a lot of issues we had. You imagine what one single grain of wheat with up to 9 billion on can actually do to reseeding someone's microbiome. What my goal is to produce those, which I do, you know, generally about 15,000 metric tonnes of them. So that's a lot of little single packages sitting there. But then get it as purely as we can through to the people. So once again, it's a collaboration. It's a collaboration of us as the farmer, getting it through to the people, our medical professionals, but the most important thing is you, the community, the people. That's my goal every day.
Thank you. So this idea of working in harmony with nature as much as possible, but still trying to produce, you know, pretty much vast quantities of food. How does that look from your perspective as a person who's interested in soil health and ecosystem health, Jill?
Well, you cannot produce really quality food if you do not have a healthy soil. I mean, it's just straight up. You can't do it. I mean, a healthy soil is going to purify the water. It's going to purify the air. It's going to put a lot of beautiful aromas into the air. That healthy soil, when you handle it, is going to make you feel good. It's going to make you healthy again. I mean, we know that some of the organisms in the soil, when you handle healthy soil, actually can help with diabetes. I mean, the smell of soil after a rain actually affects you. It makes you feel good. It gives you the happy factor. Looking at these beautiful landscapes, growing beautiful green plants, yellow plants, all of these things, they give you the happy factor. They make you feel good about who you are and what you do. Why do people go for drives out in the landscape? Because they want to feel good. They love looking at these things. But the soil, no matter what we say about healthy food, and no matter what we say about food quality, we cannot grow food without healthy soil. It all begins. The foundation of agriculture, the foundation of healthy food is healthy soil.
And do you think on that the way the Haggertys have been working more in harmony with nature has an impact on the end result from your scientific background in terms of what's inherently in that wheat or that grain?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we know that when plants have to work for things. So plants can be couch potatoes too. They can just lay around and we can feed them and they can grow, and that doesn't help them, because what we need them to do is grow in harmony with nature so that they're loaded with polyphenols, with terpenes, with all these great things that make the grain. So if we just think about the grain, one single grain of wheat, loaded with polyphenols, loaded with bacteria and fungi that are going to actually help benefit the plant as it grows. Well, if you eat that grain, now I've got all those polyphenols, I've got all those antioxidants. More importantly, I've got all this inulin, these non-digestible carbohydrates that actually we know help with colon cancer. And wheat is one of the best sources of them. So yeah, we know that how we grow these things in healthy soils actually mean that we pack our grains full of these things. Now, genetics play a role in that too, but we can optimize genetics with healthy soil. So flavor is all about health. And I'm not just going to talk, I talked about grains, but I know that my beef animals benefit from it too. I know that when I feed them, when they're on the prairie, the tallgrass prairie, when I'm feeding them, finishing calves on these multi-species pastures, they actually benefit from it. They benefit from it health-wise. Vet bills go way down. Animal health goes way up. And my cows are laying around, they're happy. Like, they're happy cows. They're actually laying around just, and we see the same thing with the sheep, don't we, Di? Yeah. They're happy. They're just like, hey, I'm happy here. I'm good. Leave me alone. I'm enjoying myself. And you all benefit from that. You benefited from that tonight. Those chops, the kafka, all from happy sheep.
Yeah. They're not happy anymore. So on the lamb, I just had a chat with Ian just before we came on stage, and he was saying, the lamb got delivered here, but the chef here was a farmer, and he looked at the lamb and went, that ain't their lamb. Right? Recognised that the carcass that had been delivered was not the Haggerty's lamb, right? You know, so it's obvious even from that very, from someone who knows, it's obvious from that very first instant that was not the product that was supposed to be here, and I think that was sort of fascinating. You know, that it was an accident.
I think we got the right lamb in the end.
Yeah,
that was a Matthew and Diane last minute.
Yeah, so they sent it back to the butcher and swapped it over. You know, so that was but sort of but that's a chance encounter. But it actually proves the point from a very from very rudimentary space that it's obvious even from that level, let alone from the microscopic level. So Max, food critic. I used to be one, so not much respect for you there.
Understandable.
So no offence, but
absolutely not take it.
What is it? Once a year you need a doctor, and 3 times a day you need a farmer or whatever, and you never need a food critic.
Can I get anyone a beer at the bar while he's slagging me? But actually, I think what you bring to the conversation is because what you do as your job, you get to expose to lots of things all the time. So in terms of, from your experience, seeing these products, tasting them, knowing them, is there actually a difference from that sort of critical palate point of view, texture point of view? Yeah, 100%. I was really fortunate yesterday to join the field trip, the school excursion out to the Haggerty's farm, and one of the great cool things that Ian asked us to do, we were sitting in a field of wheat. You grabbed a bit of wheat and just chewed the end of it, and it tasted sweet, like really, really sweet, like sugarcane, like what sugarcane used to taste like, I guess, if you get good stuff. And yeah, you can really, I'm a pretty bad gardener at home, but I can grow some okay tomatoes. And when you wait till December to have that tomato, and you've raised it, you've sort of trimmed it, you've got rid of all the bugs, and you eat it, it's like, wow, this is what a tomato tastes like. And when you're lucky enough to eat those ingredients, you really do taste it. It sounds like a cliche that you can taste the time and love, but
everything in life sort of takes time and effort, whether it's growing wheat, growing a tomato, brewing this beer. And I think you absolutely can taste it. If you're fortunate enough to be in a situation where you get to taste these beautiful raw ingredients. There's this cliche, as you would have known in the food writing game, where it's, you do the least to an ingredient, which is sort of right, is sort of doing the right thing, I think, to an ingredient. And sometimes if you have a really good bit of really good wheat, you do what Mark and Rachel at Mill and Baker do, and you mill it on site, you retain all that flavour and nutrition. And I'm sure people here know how good Mill and Baker is. You eat that bread and you go, oh, I get it now. I get it why the other bread that's 99 cents a loaf doesn't do much other than stick to the top of my mouth.
So do you think because of the way that wheat has been industrialised in this commodity market, do you think people have lost connection with flavour, potentially, or know what the good thing should taste like?
I think so. There's anyone that's eaten out in a while knows that we're sort of in this era of more is more is more. Cooking, you'll have a piece of protein and you'll put 3 different kinds of soy sauce on there, then there'll be a chili sauce on that, and then they'll spray it with some sort of, liquid nitrogen or something, then put it inside a hamburger, then put it on top of a Bloody Mary or something. And, and I sometimes wonder, is that because maybe the natural ingredient, and not take anything away from chefs or anything, but sometimes if you've got a natural ingredient that might not be there, you kind of have to help it along a little bit, It's like using Photoshop on your Tinder profile or something. just a little help. That's what my friends tell me. But then when you go and have like a good tomato, or you go to Cubby Cafe, 11 Acre Farm, they grow some of their own vegetables, places which produce ingredients well, and you taste it, you go, oh. And then you wonder, well, what'd you do? What did the chef do here? And it's like, oh, well, I just got some good ingredients and did the right thing to them to let them be the best version of themselves. And to me, restaurants that do that are the most exciting restaurants in the city, in the state, in the country, and on the planet.
Wow. Yeah, I was chatting to someone from Spain recently. I asked, what's new? So he works at the Basque Culinary Institute, this sort of leading light of culinary research around the world, and they have people come from everywhere to do these masterclasses. And I said, what's the thing? And he said it's trying to work out how little you can do to capture, what's happening in the paddock and how you capture that flavour in the kitchen. So that's what the good chefs apparently are doing now. But you mentioned Miller and Baker, and I think we've got Rachel in the audience. So it might be a good time to throw to Rachel, I guess get your opinion on these grains, because this, I believe, your first foray into dealing direct with the producers was with Rachel. So Rachel Taylor, do you mind just telling us a little bit about your experience with the?
Oh, it was actually your first experience was with Mark, my husband, but it's my turn to talk tonight. So when Mark decided to open the bakery, he also, with his environmental science background, he wanted to know exactly where and how the wheat was grown, and he wanted it to be local as well. And then he was really surprised to find how difficult that was in Western Australia, where everything is just brought into Perth into one place, one location. It's like, how do I know where this flour was grown? And then just by chance he was at a workshop and spoke to an ex-colleague, and she said, I think I know people that you should speak to, and it was Ian and Di. So that was just amazing that connection was made so early on for us, as we were opening the bakery, but before it opened, and as the mill was on its way over from the States. And then came over, and it's been a steep learning curve, but it's been amazing to find this incredible ingredient that is so different to using flour, that commercial flour, learning how to bake with it. And the thing that I noticed, just as a home cook, is you mix it and it's alive, and you taste it and you can actually taste it. So if you were to make pancakes, for example, which doesn't have much in it, it's flour, eggs, milk, you can actually taste the wheat, and it's so alive. It's like full of bubbles, and it's absolutely beautiful. You don't need to put anything on those pancakes. But also, like just anecdotally, our customers come in and they have not been able to eat bread for years, and as you get older, or as they've gotten older, they've found it more and more difficult to digest bread. And then we're like, well, you can have a try if you're not celiac. Just have a try and see how it goes. And they come back again and again because they can eat this bread, which it's from the soil to the wheat to the milling process, which is really gentle, that preserves all those microbiomes. And then the sourdough recipe itself, which is also adding along the way, so human microbiomes are added in along there, and it's just got everything that you need for really good like bread and health.
Yep.
So everything from the soil to the farming system to the bakery is having an impact on this, on you, and and not just on your pleasure, but on your body. So there's a microphone coming around. If anyone has a question, put your hand up and we'll send a mic round.
There's mics everywhere.
Oh, there's mics everywhere, apparently. Rightio, there's a question in the middle there.
Thank you. My question is to you, Ian and Di. When you started this 25 years ago, what's been the biggest catalyst to get this snowballing? Because if you called this event maybe 20 years ago, you'd have 3 people here, you've got 300. What's the biggest catalyst that's got us going?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for coming tonight. You were with us 25 years ago. We used to do a lot of stuff together. I think the biggest catalyst has been, and it's been a slow build. You talk when we started off in 1903 with our first wheat federation bred by William Farrer. Our soils had a lot of organic matter in. They hadn't been farmed as hard as what they were. But over the years, you take that now 122 or 3 years, fast forwarded now, we've burnt our organic matters right down to 0.05%. Our soils aren't what they used to be. So the catalyst is then you look at our environment, what's happening, but the main thing is our human health. This never-ending question of human health. The Australian of the Year stuff for us has really opened our eyes up. We've had medical professionals from all around the globe come to us and say, we are getting hit with a tsunami of ill health, everything, from all the cancers to the Parkinson's to the MMDs, everything. And honestly, with all the work that we do, we can't stop it. We're just putting out fires, trying the best that we can to do what we can. We need a combined approach for someone to close the floodgate right down at the other end and stem the flow of ill health. And as they all realise, that starts with the soil. So that's been this health, people looking for their health. We've gone through this big industrial period, and I think there's a change. People think about the environment, people are looking, and I think that's been the catalyst. And the catalyst for us has been going down this journey, and the Haggerty farm has been one giant self-funded research station for the last 25 years to get this right, because it's been our passion. But what's really been the catalyst for us is the more we've lent towards nature and let the natural systems do it, the better it has become. When we were sort of half committed, we didn't get the results. Now that we're fully committed, we get the results. And the research is starting to come. Jill put some research to me the other day. Once you add phosphates into your soil and you're using that every year, glyphosate will not detoxify at all. It stays there. Take that away, all those things will start to detoxify and we start to clean our environment. So that's been the catalyst by changing over for us like fully, and then seeing the results, as Rachel says, in the human health. As the guys from Wild Bakery are here today, who actually supplied a lot of food and have been great supporters as well, is just the people talking with their feet.
I guess also from the livestock perspective, we were able to witness such dramatic changes in the health of the animals, and because they can reproduce so much quicker than humans, it was just a natural understanding that, by crikey, if this is what a biodiverse environment can do within a natural system for animals, what can we do for humans if we can transfer that nutrition directly from our farming landscape or our overall landscape, including the bushland, into the human food supply? What differences can we make to humans? And we've got a real passion for looking out for children's health and preventative health, starting with the kids. To hear of children being born with all sorts of diseases and cancers and so forth, just sends shivers down your spine. So we've got a really good capacity as farmers and land stewards to really combat that head on. So that's really what drives us, and that's why I think there's a room full of people here, because they're feeling the same and really asking the questions, what's happening to our food, our health, and our lives. So that's basically it, I think, Mark. Thank you.
It's super great to know that there's farmers who see themselves as part of the health system, because I think they all are, they just don't necessarily realise it. And unfortunately, if they don't realise it, they might be part of the bad health system as opposed to the good health system. We had, I think, one last question at the front here.
My question has sort of been answered by a lot of you already tonight. As producers, how do we sort of as quickly as possible convince the consumers that this is what we want, and then how do we then empower them to then speak to farmers who aren't on this journey that this is the product we want? Listening to you guys talk yesterday, you've got the product, and now it's that, we're talking about, instead of not using the word supply chain, using it as a system. How do we get that going to get people to then empower other farmers to take that step?
I'll hand over to Ian, but we had a discussion about that point about supply chain last night, and we came up with an alternative being supplier relationships, because that's what, at the end of the day, it's all about, of all of us coming together in a relationship to get the right food to the people, and sharing in that. But I'll hand over to Ian.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just about relationships. Nature works with true living ecosystem only functions when it's got diversity, and it only functions under collaboration, and that's what we have to do as a community. So by days like today, keep the conversation open and let the public do the talking to the farmers to actually request a product. Guys like Matt here from Little Creatures, the feedback that we get from Matt of how that actually goes, and then Matt has the relationship with the big companies as well. We open that conversation on all levels of business where we are. So I think that's the important thing, is just to collaborate amongst ourselves, have the diversity of everyone here. This isn't a Haggerty Family Natural Intelligence Farming issue to take that out to people. We've all got to contribute together and work together, and then I think you'll find once other farmers start to see those chains, those relationships and the systems that can be evolved, they'll jump on board really quickly.
Yeah, no one can do it alone. We have to head back to Matt, but if you don't, if you just join me to thank Ian and Di and Jill and Max. Thank you. And me.
Us as humans have very much, over the last couple hundred years, separated us from nature. Over centuries, when we've colonised countries, the first thing that we've tended to do is hop in and build a fence around our house, our farm. And what he likes to say is, when we do that, we instantly separate ourselves from the outside world. And when we separate ourselves from nature, we instantly become the weakest species on the planet, because we are not collaborating with the entire ecosystem. And we end up finding ourselves working against nature instead of collaboratively with it. And now that's followed through to our agricultural industry. Over the last 100 years of industrial agriculture, we have made some amazing advancements in technology. And you can see the amount of production that we can get out of our landscape. But at the end of the day, nothing will ever compare to the type of technology that we've been able to, that has been developed over millions of years in our natural system. No matter how much R&D that we do, we'll never catch up to that level of intelligence. So why should we work against it? Which brings me to quorum sensing. Now, when you start to work with your soil systems, you build up that microbial life and you get those bacterial and fungal networks working amongst your soil system. You get this amazing, outcome called quorum sensing, where you get these communication networks throughout your landscape. And now this is a level of intelligence that humans are still yet to quite comprehend how intelligent that it really is. And you're able to get things where you might get an insect attack, an aphid attack, where most of the time a farmer will put insecticides, fungicides out to combat it. But in the natural system, they're able to sense that pressure, send signals across thousands of acres across their landscape to put up defence mechanisms to stop the attack. Now, why am I talking to quorum sensing to a food group? Which brings me to, we need to create the quorum sensing within us as people. Because it's not just us, the Haggerty family, Natural Intelligence Farming, Matthew Evans, every single one of you individually here who wants to see a better future. We can't do this on our own. Every single one of you must work in collaboration together, which has been the theme of the conversation tonight, to create the future that we all want. And so it's not just us, the farmer, whether it be the truck driver who delivers the food, the bakers, the chefs, the brewers, the finances, the scientists, the health professionals. We all must come together and collaborate together. Now, I'd like to say a big thank you for all of you taking the time out of your Wednesday evening for joining us here at the Camfood for the inaugural Nourish Perth, the Flavour of Nature. I really hope you've all got something out of the evening, whether it be delicious food, amazing beer, great connections and interactions, be able to network along with like-minded people in a beautiful city, in a beautiful state, and hopefully maybe learn a few things from the beautiful panel that we had up earlier. And as we continue to support each other and nourish not only our landscapes, but continue to nourish ourselves as people. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you all have a lovely evening.